Oh, we're live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 185. Your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Rhett.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. I am going to change the cadence here a little bit because I've always said this is a family-friendly show. I don't know that by the definition of family-friendly, it's entirely, because sometimes we do discuss issues that I wouldn't discuss in front of my 9-year-old. And so I think I'm going to change it to this is a PG-13 show.
There you go.
So it's still, minimal as far as language and content, but occasionally it's out there. And, we haven't really tried to slow that down, but I don't think it's a, R-rated show by any means.
No, yeah.
PG-13, I think is fair. This is a PG-13 show in both language and content. We do read all super chats on the air so long as they meet those content criteria. And if you want to join the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon or Float Plane. Links are both down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all of the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the ever-growing and awesome community over there. Welcome to Wednesday, everyone. Rhett, how you doing? You barely made it here.
Barely made it here. I had to barrel down the freeway. I mean, this is the reality of having a boss that just won't let you work from home anymore, right?
Lame.
He's like, you got to be here. We're a live show. We're here at 8 p.m. And I'm just like,
oh, you're talking about me?
You looked away, but I pointed at you. You can relive that beautiful moment. And but yeah, no, I am not working from home anymore either. So in real life and YouTube life, all of a sudden all bets are off.
Yeah. Didn't know you were throwing me under the bus there.
Well, it was a really fun visual joke. Everyone else got to see it.
It was.
You looked away.
I was looking away. I didn't have a spot to rest my arm on the desk, and so I've been doing this the whole show already, and it was driving me nuts, and so I was adjusting my own crap, getting comfortable.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. See, the boss makes it all about himself.
That's right. That's right.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but actually, I surprised myself getting here on time because I was not sure. I was texting Jeff before, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm looking at Google Maps. It's gonna be close. But I could definitely make it home beforehand. So should I just get home and hop on?" And he's like, "Hey, man, if you're up for it, get over here." I was like, screw it. I'll take a risk. John's late all the time.
Yeah. What's an 8:05 start time? We'll make it work.
And I even got here a couple minutes before I thought I would. So
Yep. Very
perfect.
cool. Welcome to Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Talking Heads. So awesome to have the show going. Let's start it off the right way by actually opening some beers. Now,
Cheers.
Rhett is completely clueless to what we have here. I've got two very different style beers from one another. First up, I've got Cascade Lakes Brewing Company Salted Caramel Porter.
This is what I need.
Yeah, 5.8%. Pretty solid beer. This one is a special one I picked up almost 2 or 3 years ago. This was made during the
Final season.
Wasn't final. I think it was season 7 they started coming out with these. But it's a Game of Thrones branded beer from Omgang Brewing, OMME Gang Brewery. It is the My Watch Has Ended Imperial Brown Ale brewed with maple syrup and fenugreek. 8%. And this is one of those beers where it's like, it's not overly strong. It's only 8%, but it's also a bomber. And so I have dozens of bombers in my fridge because we used to do Talking Heads in person all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's what I bought is you can have a really good beer and spend a little bit more and split it between 2 people and you're great. I have a hard time sitting down and having one of these in one sitting.
Yeah.
So
kind of tough.
Yeah. Which one do you want to start with? I'll give you a guest choice.
I'm really partial to the way this salted caramel porter sounded. Not that this doesn't sound good. This sounds delightful, but
all right.
I'm just a sucker for porters. First of all,
salted caramel it is. Do you do caramel or caramel?
I guess it depends. Like, if I'm eating them, it's caramel. Mm-hmm. But, like, if it's a recipe, caramel. You know?
Okay.
I don't know why I'd do that.
I think that's fair.
Like, oof. Oh. How do you say it?
I usually say caramel.
Oh.
Because I'm not pretentious.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
I have no defense. Guilty, Your Honor.
Oh, that's good.
Dang.
That is really
that
good.
is just what Papa needed. That's just what Papa needed.
Yep. It's a porter with the right amount of roastiness behind it without being like pastry stout thick. It's roasty but still fairly light.
And you can taste the salt,
mm-hmm.
which like most people are like, what are you doing? Why are we okay, but first of all, like salt and stuff is really good.
It is.
That's why your body needs it, or you die.
It's why French fries taste better with it.
It's why everything tastes better with it. Not only that, if you guys haven't tried it, my grandpa, you know, everybody always talks about how their grandpa had this, like, you know, they drank cowboy coffee to keep you up all night. Okay, that was just like, that was the drugs.
Yeah.
But this, my grandpa used to put
pretty sure
salt.
That was the caffeine.
Right, yeah. My grandpa would put salt in his black coffee and drink it that way. And I really like a dash of salt in a cup of black coffee.
You know, I've never heard of that. I've never tried that. But I'm very intrigued.
And the reason I bring it up is because I get that hint of salt that I would get out of that cup of coffee, because you're getting a little bit of coffee notes out of this.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the caramel.
Yeah, the caramels, it's a real late caramel flavor. It doesn't sweeten up until very, very late mm-hmm. in the profile. But no, I get exactly what you're saying. Because you definitely taste the salt, and it's right up front to right through the middle of the flavor.
Yeah. That
roastiness is present all the way through. And so, yeah, I was going to say coffee, but...
Well, see, the beauty of it is that, like, you know, you look at your tongue, and you got... sorry, there's like a little bug flying around every time. I'm just like, ah! You know, your tongue's got 4 different types of receptors, and bitter one is you use with beer a lot. Sour you use with some beers. But salt is a taste receptor on your tongue mm-hmm. that you don't use with beer that often.
Yeah.
And so here we're kind of engaging... that and so it definitely stands out, and it doesn't it's not much, but dang, it's good stuff.
I'm still used to not streaming live, so my headphones don't have a place to live, and it's like, I had a whole setup for over a year.
I know Taylor comes on to the chat, and he was telling me afterwards, he's like, dang, looks like the production value went way up, and I was like, was it just the L cars? And he's like, oh yeah, I guess that's it.
Did I get him?
Oh.
I thought I did. Nope, I don't see him.
Let's Mr. Miyagi this and get some chopsticks out.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Got to get my chopsticks out. All right.
There we go.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to... I didn't get him. He's still there.
I know.
All right.
Let's keep it PG-13.
That's right. Let's move on to a little bit of tech news. Starting with... sorry, Rhett. But well, no, not anymore, because I forgot I upgraded you. Your old graphics card is no longer going to be functional.
I'm bummed.
Or at least not getting any further updates as of version 470 from NVIDIA. Kepler, that is NVIDIA 600 and 700 series GTX cards. Driver support is officially ending as of revision 470. This is nothing shocking to a lot of people. I'm actually kind of surprised that we got support for Kepler as long as we did. When I did the build with the dual GTX 690s just a month and a half ago, that had a 100% up-to-date driver. And that's kind of shocking. From a graphics card from 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 9 years of active driver development for those cards. So yeah, Kepler, I'd say we hardly knew ye, but it's been a card that just kind of never died, and an architecture that has done fairly well over the years. So
pour one out.
I'm not going to pour one out, but I'll certainly give him a good old cheers. So
I'll pour one into my mouth.
There you go. Jeff's GTX 690s cried out in sadness. They did, and they also realized that they'll never get to fulfill their destiny as living in the cloud gaming server. So that's what I originally bought them for. Was I went, that's a really good price on a 690. I might as well buy 3 of them and see what I can do with it. And yeah, so end of an era. Boy, Maxwell's next. 900 series cards are next.
Oof.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Microsoft, in an announcement earlier this week, teased a major, like the largest revision to Windows, both graphically and architecturally, is coming to Windows in 2021. So the second half Windows update. And all it says is next generation of Windows is in the works. It will be one of the most significant updates to Windows of the past decade, which takes us all the way back to the original version of Windows 10 in 2000. Gosh, what was that? No, I guess Windows 8.1 was 2012. Yeah. Trying to think of when Windows 10 officially debuted. I think it was 2014.
Yeah, it was quite a bit later.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm going to look it up because I don't remember entirely.
May as well.
I want to be accurate when I'm talking about it. 2015. Okay, I was close. July 15th, 2015. RTM.
Well, does that factor in like the soft rollout they did for it? Because didn't they do a soft rollout for Windows 10, or was it just like, here you go, free upgrade all around?
RTM is released to manufacture, and so that was when it was officially released to be sold by companies as part of packages.
Gotcha.
And so that's typically known as the official release date.
See, I was such a late adopter of Windows 10 that I had to use the accessibility backdoor to to get it, by basically saying that I would use it for accessibility features and stuff, because otherwise they discontinued like the free upgrade.
Yeah.
Which was irritating.
They've said that there's an end date to the free upgrade, but they've never really stopped the free upgrade.
Right.
In fact, who is it? Is it Paul's Hardware? I think had a tweet earlier this week that he goes, this Windows XP key is magic because I've activated like 9 Windows 10 licenses with it. Yeah. But yeah, the Sun Valley Windows update, which is due sometime this fall, like I said, largest graphical and architectural upgrade to Windows in quite some time. Soon we'll share one of the most significant Windows updates of the past decade to unlock greater economic opportunity for developers and creators. Was also one of the talking points in there. Now, they gave, of course, absolutely no further details on it, so it's rife with speculation. I've been saying for a long time, I think eventually the Linux core is coming to replace the NT core architecture, which I guess technically Windows 10 doesn't run on. Does it run on NT? Yes. Anyway, is coming to replace the Windows kernel, especially because of all the integrations that we've been seeing with Linux on Windows and their developer programs and whatnot. .NET development environment being available on Linux now. PowerShell being available on Linux now. You don't do those types of releases just to give Linux a bone, which is make no bones about it, 100% competitor to Microsoft in every way, shape, and form, regardless of whether it's free or not. You don't just go, oh yeah, here's our software, go run it on your thing, without some other end goal in mind. And I think that end goal is Windows is going to become another distribution of Linux. It's going to run its own kernel, but at its base, it will be Linux, just like Android, just like a lot of other things that are out there. So
that'd be interesting. Let's see it happen.
Yeah.
In hashtag soon.
Commodore fan says, I don't care what Microsoft does. They can't get me to use Windows 10, period. Well, then your operating system is completely out of date, and so help you on the internet. Sorry.
I use the internet as a series of pipes and pulleys and carrier pigeons.
Yeah. I know Windows 7 was great. Windows 7 has also been end-of-lifed for well over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Not only has it been end-of-lifed for that length of time now, development for Chrome and Firefox and everything else for Windows 7 ceased a couple of years before that. So God help you if you're still on Windows 7. Didn't 95 have NT? No. XP was the first, or technically Windows 2000 was the first non-DOS non-DOS that you could get essentially with a home license. And so there was one Windows NT 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, and then Windows 2000 merged NT for both consumer users as well as enterprise users. And then Windows XP was the first official home release of the NT kernel. So, but no, Windows 95, the kernel was still DOS, and so was it for 98 and 2000, or not 2000, but ME. I'm a Manjaro Linux guy. Well, then why are you commenting about how you'll never use Windows? I understand that.
It's just like a vegan.
Linux people, God.
They got to tell you.
Here's the deal. I run Linux too, and I run Mac OS, and I run Windows, and I run lots of other things. They're tools. Won't be caught dead using a DeWalt. I'm a Milwaukee all the way. Like, I get it. You like Canon, I like Nikon. It's
yeah. I mean, DeWalt does make higher quality. No, I'm kidding.
Not in Milwaukee, they don't.
But you want to talk about craftsmen?
Mm-hmm.
Come at me.
Yeah. So, they'll never get me to use Windows 10. They weren't going to get you to use Windows no matter what they did. Why are you saying anything? Gosh.
I'll never eat meat.
Sir, this is a CrossFit gym.
I used to do a joke on stage about somebody trying to order from Starbucks and refusing to like use the Starbucks names for it, you know? They're like, I just want a pint of coffee. Sir, I need you to say the word. No. Why did you come here then, sir?
That's good. I was like, what movie was that with Paul Rudd refusing to say this? Technically, venti is
right.
And,
yeah.
And so, congratulations, you're wrong in all three languages.
Yeah. The whole bit was about how they just refuse to actually like measure things properly.
Yeah.
And so then they go to Starbucks where it's like they have fun words for everything, and they just even refuse to do that. There's a whole build-up, and they were vegan, so
yeah.
You know,
perfect.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it was in there, and people laughed at that bit. I don't know why. Apparently, everybody has their own interpretation of what it means to be vegan.
Yep.
Especially at a Starbucks, holding up the line. But there you
go. All right, moving on. We do have a couple of Apple notes to talk about. First and foremost, this is the one that I saw first, so it's the one we'll talk about first, that there might have been a leak of what the iMac Pro looks like. So this is not the new Apple Silicon Mac Pro. That'll probably be next year. But the iMac Pro, which is definitely due for an upgrade, supposedly is going to look something like this. Now, we don't have much information as far as the internals on it go, but we do have at least ports on the rear right here, which is, from what we can see, four USB Type-Cs. I'm assuming they're all Thunderbolt. At least I would hope they would have all four Thunderbolt 4, whereas the current iMacs only have two Thunderbolt 4 and then two USB-C 3.2s. So I'm hoping for more bandwidth on this, more connectivity. We also see that they're still using the proprietary power plug on the back, so there's going to be a power brick on this thing. Power button over here on the side. I'm assuming the headphone jack's also going to be on the side. I'm assuming it's still going to be just as thin as the standard iMac. And the other note that I heard was that they were considering adding an SD card slot to the side of the iMac, so you don't have to plug in a card reader or any of that crap. I will say, while I'm not a huge fan of making desktops thin for the sake of making them thin at the sacrifice of, well, we couldn't fit a full-length headphone jack because the desktop itself is too thin, so we had to put it on the side. At least they didn't remove the headphone jack from the iMac. But I do like to see the integration of the RJ45. I'm assuming since it's the iMac Pro, I would like to see 10 gigabit as standard. I don't want to see a gigabit option, especially with no internal storage upgrades. With, if it's a professional machine, it deserves professional connectivity. End of story. Regardless of if it's serviceable and whatnot, like, Reds are professional cameras, and again, God help you if you need to ever have that thing serviced. But it still has professional connectivity to it, and that's what I would expect out of a machine that says Pro. So I want 10 gig. I want 4 Thunderbolt 4s, and we know this is not going to be an M1 based Mac because we saw a rumor a couple of weeks ago that the iMac will be the last M1 based Mac. Likely we'll be seeing newer Apple Silicon that's a little bit beefier in some of the newer devices coming out. So yeah, what do you think of the display?
Not for me.
Not for you?
I've never been an Apple fan to begin with.
Yeah.
No, I hope that some of these leaks turn out to be true. Because the iMac is in need of a desperate upgrade for sure. Mm-hmm. But again, I just never been a big Apple fan. So keeping up with the leaks, keeping up with the current thing, it would be interesting to see what they use if not the M1. So that'll be fun to keep an eye on. But other than that,
Yeah, the main thing that I'm looking for here is I'm spec watching. I have 2 M1 Macs at the moment. I have a Mac Mini and I have a MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
And I bought the Mac Mini to essentially be the controller for my 3D printing desk, which is in the works. In fact,
which is actually a great idea.
My Prusa is sitting back here now. So yeah, the little white box right there.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got the Prusa Mark III and I've got an Elgu Mars 2.
Yeah.
So looking forward to both of those, getting those up and running finally. But yeah, I bought a Mac Mini specifically to do all of my CAD work and all of my send to print kind of thing from one desk. And while, yes, my 16-core 5950X is sitting right next to the Mac Mini, I like having separate stations for separate things. And so if I'm working on CAD, I want to turn my chair around and I want to work solely on CAD. I don't want to be distracted by other things because I will be distracted by other things.
Oh God help you.
And so
you and me both.
Yeah. So it's a separation physically for me that has to happen. But speaking of spec watching and potential new specs, the Mac Mini has some new rumors, as reported by John Prosser. Now, we are getting an all-new design for a Mac Mini from the looks of it. 4 USB-Cs, 2 USB-As, an RJ45 port. It looks like they're using the same exact proprietary power connector as the iMac and the iMac Pro, and then we've got an HDMI over here. Now this one, we actually have some information on what might be coming as far as the silicon goes. The Mac Mini will showcase Apple's new M1X processor. So a quick rundown on the original M1 is it's essentially using ARM's Big Little architecture, but Apple's own spin on it, which, for those who don't know, Big Little is using some high-powered processor cores and some low-power processor cores on the same die. And so for the M1 processor, it has 4 low-power cores and 4 high-power cores, and it uses them both at the same time. It's not like you have to choose one or the other, or applications have to choose one or the other. When you're launching when you're launching Chrome, you'll see one thread on your you'll see one thread on a high-performance processor shoot up, and then you'll see a little activity on all the little ones, and then it'll go away. And just for regular browsing and whatnot, your little ones just kind of trickle on, and then occasionally you'll see a spike on a high-performance core. And so it's Apple relegating what do I need to do very quickly, what needs the performance cores, and what can, you know what, I can sit back for a half a second and just let this thing figure it out. And the architecture works really well, and we've already seen the battery life improvements on the MacBook Pro from that architecture. But that's with 8 CPU cores. That is 4 little cores, 4 big cores, and then either 7 or 8 core graphics processor. The M1X, I am already very intrigued by, and I may be replacing this Mac Mini as soon as this launches. They're getting me hook, line, sinker if this is the case. So the M1X may have a total of 10 cores, 8 of them high performance, and 2 of them low energy. So much, much faster. And we've already seen single core performance on the M1 is nearly as good as the 5950X. And for a first generation product, that's insane. For a second iteration product, I'm not calling this a next generation, I'm calling this a next iteration, and so is Apple. They're calling it the M1X. 10 total processing cores, 8 of them with high power. It will also be offered with either 16 or 32 graphic core variations. Let me put this into perspective. The current M1 Mac has 8 graphics processors, or sometimes 7 depending on which model you got. Both of mine have 8. Both of mine very easily, they're somewhere around GTX 1050 Ti to GTX 1060. Like 8 graphics processors. Do you realize what 16 or 32 is going to look like on an M1 Mac? Like we're talking GTX, or sorry, let's say minus the ray tracing. Let's say RTX 2060 at a very minimum, maybe 2070. If it scales, if it works out to be true. That's insane. And by the way, the M1 is only a 35 watt processor. If they keep this thing at 60 watts, I'm still gobsmacked. And if this turns out to be true, I will buy this computer day one. And if this turns out to be true, and if it's, let's say it's $1,000. Let's say the Mac Mini goes up from $700 to $1,000. Heck, $1,200. At $1,200, it's probably the best gaming PC you could buy. Doesn't that hurt on some deep philosophical level?
A little bit. A little bit. Especially just on the last tab, how much crap I was talking about Apple.
Right.
But this is a field where they're making progress, leaps and bounds. Mm-hmm. And so I hope this is true, because this is just good for everybody. If so.
Yeah. We've talked about how competition is good for everyone. It's good for Apple. It's good for Intel. It's good for AMD. It's good for nVidia. Apple doing well. Well, obviously it's good for nVidia because they're trying to buy ARM. But obviously competition breeds more competition and breeds people to take more risks and shoot higher and get more aggressive with things. But the leaps and bounds that I'm seeing in just the first generation is astounding. And there's a reason I bought two M1 Macs. Is the performance is there and it's real. And there's very few drawbacks that I found out so far, or that I've found so far. And the drawbacks are far outweighed by the positives that I've gotten from these machines. The M1 MacBook is the best laptop I have ever owned. Bar none. Straight up.
That's coming from a guy that owns a lot of laptops.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming from a guy who got out of the Apple ecosystem just to come back in and say that it's the best laptop he's ever owned. I mean, come on.
Yep.
I guess he didn't completely get out of the ecosystem?
I've never been completely out of the ecosystem. I did stop buying them for personal for a number of years.
You pulled up.
Yeah. Mainly because of how they treated me for an iPhone issue that I had.
That's right.
Where
That's
it was,
yeah.
I'm not getting into it, but one of the worst customer service experiences I've ever had. But that being said, man, the performance is there, and man, the benefits are there, and far outweighed by any PC competitor right now. And Apple's always made either the best laptop or among the best laptops. This is setting a bar to a whole new standard, and that's saying something.
Good, they need it.
Yeah. Who was that asking? Jeff, do I offer annual Patreons or only monthly? I only offer monthly. And the reason being is I don't know what to price the annual, and I don't know what perks I would give and that kind of thing. Like, I just don't know. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. I think the monthly gives you.
You can give as much monthly as you want.
Right.
The donation amounts that I have are suggestions, guidelines for it, and you get different perks at different levels. But
the monthly model gives you a little bit more control over what you're spending, how you're spending it. I mean, I honestly don't know if I know of anybody that uses the annual model, but that's just me. Like, and I'm spending a lot on Patreon every month, so you know, I like to think that I'm with it, but who knows? But yeah, this just gives you a little bit more chance, because if it becomes something that you want to pull up on, like Jeff did with Apple a couple years ago, you can pull up for a little bit. Maybe drop your subscription down to $1 a month or whatever. I mean, we all understand, like, money is an issue for so many people, and like, could you imagine just like dropping a huge chunk on an annual thing and like, oh no, I need that money for gas to get to work. Yeah, like that gas to get to work, you're gonna get you more Patreon subscriptions, my friend. So go to work, make your money, and come back. We'll be here. Yeah. But yes, call with it minimum $1 a month gets you Discord access. Yep. That's all it takes. That $1 a month gets you started. Just come on over, hang out. Hey, and if you want to do that annually, by all means, it's just gonna re-up every month.
Right. Anyway, someone Emil says, I want a Mac Pro with 6 M1 chips and no thermal throttling. Well, I can tell you, in the desktops, there's no thermal throttling. The Mac Mini runs faster than the MacBook Pro. And as much as I like the MacBook Pro, I also wanted a desktop over there devoted to just my CAD work. I didn't want to load all that onto a laptop and have to carry an SSD if I wanted to work on something or anything. I wanted all of it over there. So
good.
But yeah, no, the rumors that I've heard about the new Mac processors, and I think we covered this a while ago, that Apple has planned 32 and 64 core Apple Silicon CPUs by 2022. So you want 6 M1s? How about a single 64 core high performance? Like, that's more than you just asked for. You asked for 24 cores with 12 and 12. Yeah. Or I guess 48 cores with 24 and 24. There we go. That's the right number.
Is this annual thing something we have to look at now? Because people are chiming in. You know, Dunkel, who's asking about it, he's saying, I don't join Patreon as long as it's monthly. Now we got Mr. John Z over here. He's like, look, I'd love to just drop 12 and not have to think about it.
Yeah. If
is there something we got to look at? It feels crazy.
Well, let me point counterpoint, because people are going, I'd happily drop 12 a year. Well, the way that I do the Patreon is it's a donation per creation. But you can also set a cap on your donations. And so if you want to be part of the $4 tier, you can say, well, I'll give $1 per video until 4 videos, and then I stop. And your perks don't go away for the rest of the month. You just stop giving more money. And so you can cap it at $1 and just pay $1 a month. And the advantage of that is you never know. You're never going to notice that transaction, so you just keep paying me every month.
What I don't understand is all these people are saying, like, that way I don't have to think about it. Adam Haskins saying, you just don't have to, you just think about it once a year instead. How are people using Patreon?
Right.
Because, like, I haven't thought about Patreon in years, and I'm subbed to, like, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just burning a hole in my bank account, so maybe I should think about it. But, like, do y'all not have, like, recurring just payments set up? I mean, my craft computing subscription.
Do y'all not have bank apps? Oh, sorry.
It just doesn't come, like, it literally comes off out of my bank account once. I never have to think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, y'all using, like, prepaid cards and, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I just don't understand it.
Right.
Like,
and
because Patreon is meant to be the back of your mind. You're not thinking about it.
Right. And trust me, I am all about getting monthly expenditures down. That's one of the reasons I was able to afford the house that we're in right now, is taking a good hard look at everything that we did financially and paring everything down and going, what are the essentials? What do we actually need? Are we spending too much on services? You know, what services can we shop around? What can we do better? And we landed on this one, and it's been fantastic. But yeah, I use Patreon to manage my finances.
Thanks, John.
So yeah, I guess I've never really thought annual would be easier than monthly. Because most things, even if they offer annual subscriptions, I usually pay for monthly, even if it costs me like an extra $10 a year, because I see that transaction every month. Versus, I hate Amazon Prime because every May, or I think it's March that ours renews, every March I'm looking at the bank statements and I go, where did this $100 come from? Or $120 come from? And it's like, oh right, Prime renewed this month.
Yeah.
And well, not versus.
That takes me by surprise.
Right.
I'm not a fan of that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of once a year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is. We can talk about this more later. That's just an interesting idea, because I like the fact that they're thinking that way, but it just it doesn't make sense to me. So.
And Emil says, I'm looking hard at an AMD Threadripper system once DDR5 comes out. Realistically, it'll probably be half to a third the cost of an Apple to build my own workstation. Not likely. I'm betting Apple will be price competitive.
Wow.
And faster. That's my bet.
Wow.
Yep. And here's the cool thing. Apple has not said that they're going to boot lock their systems, that you will be able to run Linux on your systems. So keep that in mind. That boot camp is not going anywhere. Now, whether or not they're going to throw engineering dollars at making sure they develop the right drivers for Linux and everything else, that's a whole nother ball. That's a whole nother ball game. But they have said they're not going to lock it down. What's up, Ram? What's up, buddy?
Our producer's in the office.
Yes.
Producer Randy.
He's my shop assistant.
Super cute.
Yep. He just got a haircut.
Oh, look at you.
A haircut.
Look at your little baby butt.
A haircut and a brush. So he's been re-grooming himself all day.
All right, I'm gonna look. All right. Jeff's letting out the production assistant.
Yep.
He's got a loud set of pipes on him.
Production assistant. I like that better. Yeah.
Oh, what did you say originally?
I said shop assistant.
Oh,
yeah.
Production. I'm sorry. God, I just gave him a promotion.
You just gave him a raise. Dang it.
Hey, we're unionized at Craft Computing.
I told Rhett when I hired him part-time, I have not yet written the sexual harassment policy. Please don't make me do so.
God, he sounds a little desperate there, doesn't he, guys? Please don't make me.
Don't make me write that. All right. Moving right along. How's your beer doing?
Well, it's empty.
I see that.
I'd hate to go. I mean, my throat is so scratchy. Y'all hear me coughing over here. I'm like, come on. It's probably just nothing too serious.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Should we do a Kyle and point this at our eyes first?
Absolutely. Honestly, I mean, you got glasses on.
That was a loose cork. That one was gonna go. Oh, look at the color on that.
And what kind of beer was this again, you said?
This is an Imperial Brown? Oh. Yeah, Imperial Brown Ale. So there should be a little over 12 ounces for each of us. And yes, I'll pour this one for you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Since you got all indignant when I made you pour your own last week.
Well, I come back after a whole year, and you don't even want to pour my beer for me anymore.
There you go.
Oh, it just occurred to me, too, that we never clanked glasses before.
We didn't.
Shall we? I owe you a cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you all as well. Drinking at home. Sign off in the chat if you haven't done so already. We didn't even do that. Oh, God, we're throwing things crazy around here now.
Yep. Oh, God. Oh, wow.
Say what you will about Game of Thrones. This is a good beer.
Yes. My watch has ended. Imperial Brown Ale brewed with maple syrup and fenugreek.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. That's good.
They made some choices with this beer. And that's what I'll say about it for now.
Mm-hmm.
They made some choices.
That's really good. That's really good. Hops and Brews says, I hate you both. Oh, wait, I'm drinking rye whiskey. I just bought a couple of new bottles. I've got a Sazerac rye up there. And what else did I buy? I got a single malt Irish. I almost bought a bottle of Templeton Rye cask strength. Skull will know what I'm talking about. They had the barrel strength at my local bottle shop. I almost walked away with that one. I might have to go back next week for that. So, still working on my Mr. Black Old Fashioned, Skull says.
There you go.
That's a solid Old Fashioned. Let's see. Is Rambo on Discord if you join the Patreon? You do get exclusive cat picks. I will say that.
Yeah, Catterday is very real in the Discord server.
Yes.
And if it isn't, it will be now.
Yeah. I don't even know how to describe this one.
Well, it's definitely brown ale.
Yes. It tastes figgy.
You know, I didn't get figs at first, but yeah, there's definitely like a fruity note, and it's definitely like yeah, I was gonna say like a winter fruit type thing. Are figs winter fruit? No,
I don't think so.
Because they grow in like Italy, right? It's pretty warm there.
Yeah.
But maybe we got that connotation here in the States for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not wrong.
Who knows? But yeah, this to me is a really solid brown ale with like a fruity red wine or something.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. There's definitely something. Like, I think figs. Mm-hmm. You're right on with that.
That's the closest thing I can think of. That's not right, but it's close.
Well, you say it, and it makes me think because I buy dates every year. Mm-hmm. And I get like this like date jam and all this stuff from my parents. And it's like, I don't know, maybe there's something in there that's like kind of this like mashy fruitiness. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, when I say fruit, I'm not talking like, oh, crisp apple and plums.
Right.
Like, no, this is like, yeah, you know.
Fruit that's seen a rough life.
Yeah, but it's good. I like brown ales.
Is this one of those bad brown ales that they call a sour?
No,
this is not sour. This is a brown ale at all.
This is a brown ale.
Like, it's a really good brown too.
Yeah. You know, what's that one? Like, what's that brown that everybody drinks? Like, oh God, I'm about to like shame everybody talking about comparing this to Newcastle Brown. It's not like Newcastle Brown at all, but it does have the same character and things like that. This is just way higher quality.
Yes. All right. Moving right along to some Valve news. Valve is in the news this week because it was reported that Valve is working on their own PC Switch clone, which
Yeah.
I just got done talking about how the GPD Win 3 is not a Switch. It's not competing with the Switch in any way, shape, or form. And here's another news outlet going, they're making a Switch because it's a handheld gaming device. Like, I appreciate that Switch is now a noun because it's so ubiquitous with handheld, kind of like everything was a Game Boy or everything was a Nintendo when we were growing up. If you held it in your hand, it was a Game Boy. And if you played it on the TV, it was a Nintendo.
Yeah.
You play it on the Nintendo? Mom, this is a Sega Genesis. It's
you idiot.
It's a noun. And Switch is now the noun. That anything handheld gaming-wise it's like a Switch.
Yeah, but come on. Who plays their Switch handheld? Come on, guys.
Right.
Who's with me?
Well, I
Dot
do.
Gang all the way.
Well, I play my Switch handheld.
Dot Gang all
quite
the way.
A bit. We do have the dock upstairs. My Switch is actually over here on this desk, but yeah, we have the dock upstairs for the bedroom TV.
I'm just trolling you. I play it mostly handheld as well.
Yeah,
I do like to get on that dock action a little bit, but it's just not quite the same. The beauty of the Switch for me is that it allows me to actually play way more video games than I normally would, because when you got a family and all this sort of stuff, it's way more difficult to go tuck yourself away in the office or wherever. Or
that's why I've been digging a lot of the GPD handhelds lately.
Yeah.
Like I said, a couple of them were donated like back-to-back weeks about six or 8 months ago. And those have been wonderful because not only have I been playing native games on there, like doing native emulation on there, and they're some of the greatest emulator handhelds that I've ever had because they run x86 and they're freaking phenomenal for it. But they also do Parsec game streaming like an absolute dream. And so here in my house, I have perfect Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere. And so from any room, I can just open one of those and start playing whatever game I was playing on my PC. I played halfway through Red Dead Redemption over Christmas and January this last year from the GPD handheld.
Nice.
And it was great. And now I have one that runs it natively. I don't even need to stream it. But this is not a Switch. It is definitely not a Switch. They don't compete in any way, shape, or form. No one is looking at a $300 Switch and going, you know what sounds really good? A $1,400 PC handheld that I need to tinker with to make all the games work right.
Right.
It's not what people are looking for. So anyway, Valve is reportedly making a PC Switch clone, which means they're making a PC handheld. And it is called the SteamPal, which is a very interesting name, in my opinion. As part of Valve's push, the SteamPal will likely feature a Linux-based OS. So could we see a return of SteamOS? Or possibly just an Ubuntu or Pop OS-based system with native driver support and native integration of SteamPlay and Proton.
Right.
That would be fantastic. But SteamPal is expected to output video via external displays via USB-C, and the controllers are expected to come with a standard array of buttons, triggers, and joysticks in addition to a small touchpad and maybe even a D-pad. I consider a D-pad a normal button to have.
Yeah.
As much as I kind of liked the Steam controller, I also kind of hated the Steam controller.
Yeah.
And I know people will defend it to the death. Look, unless you spent so much time with it that you got comfortable with it, it was always a little bit weird. It didn't play everything perfectly. Yeah. It was great for some things. The Steam controller was great for some things, but it was not a replacement for an ABXY and a D-pad.
Yeah.
Not even close. So, with that said, there's actually some news or some leaks potentially, and this is over on thinkcomputer.org. So thank you, Bob, for posting this one up. But the Valve gaming handheld will reportedly tote an AMD APU.
Oh.
Which is vastly different than what I was thinking originally. I was thinking this was going to be like an ARM phone processor based streaming device.
That's what I thought too, because they have their Streambox,
right?
What was that called?
It was the Steam Link.
The Steam Link, yeah, I have one, and it's super cool. And I thought, I guess that'd be kind of easy to integrate into a little handheld thing, because how much better that would be? Much better. The Steam Link's pretty cool, but. So this is actually a massive step up from
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Yeah. Sorry.
How dare you?
I know. Interrupt my own show. Gosh. Oh, wrong one. You're slouching, so I'm trying
I'm actually standing up straighter than I was when I sat here.
Yeah, you are. Okay. And sorry, I did frame it for my stature.
I know.
So-
And this is the problem. His chairs, it just give you all a peek behind the curtain. Like, his chairs are so tall. I'm 6'1", and I'm sitting with my butt completely to the back of the chair, and I can't touch the ground. I'm 6'1".
My knees are at a 90, and I'm flat-footed on the ground.
Oh, my knees are at a 92.
Yeah.
They also just dangle like
They're all-
schoolboys' legs. That's why I keep kicking this dang wastebasket in front of me, because I'm just like, kicking my legs around. Yeah, it doesn't help that also, like, yeah, I was trying to sit up straight, so my back got tired, and then I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll do better.
Yeah.
Sorry, all. You deserve better.
You deserve better.
From your Talking Heads co-host.
That's right. That's right. I just expect more.
You know?
I do.
It's true. But you get what you pay for, Jeff. Just kidding.
Wait a second. Anyway, Valve console expected to launch Q4 2021 with a custom AMD APU with a 7 to 8 inch touchscreen, or 7 to 8 inch screen, codename Project Jupiter, and codename Aerith for the APU. $399 price point.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty good. I'd hop on board that.
I totally expect a review as soon as possible. Because yeah, like I said, at first I looked at they're coming out with a Switch competitor called the SteamPal, which I went, oh well, you have to have Steam running on a PC and it's just a streaming device. Cool, I can do that with my phone already. For the last 3 years, it's the reason you discontinued the Steam Link is everything can stream Steam.
Yeah.
And I went, this has me intrigued. This has me very intrigued.
The name is horrible.
Yes.
And honestly, Valve, I'm great at naming things. So
yeah. Anyway, the AMD Van Gogh and Aerith will feature a quad-core CPU with SMT, so 4 cores, 8 threads. It's rumored to have 512 stream processors based on RDNA 2 architecture. So Navi-based architecture. Something a la maybe like a 4500U. That's a heck of a price. $399 is a heck of a price.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Skull says you need to be this tall to be on Talking Heads.
I think I'm taller than John and Steve.
You are. But you're not as tall as me.
No, Jeff's tall. I'm taller than most people I meet, but I mean, that's not saying much. There's a lot of short people out there.
Yep. What's funny is when you get to be, I'm 6'5". I'm actually taller than Jay's 2 cents. It's really irritating because I for the last couple of CESs, I've been at a party with Josh, formerly known as Fractal Josh, Jay's 2 cents, and me, and we're some of the tallest people in the room. But I look at Jay and I went, I'm taller than you. And it's like, you do this thing when you lock eyes with someone who's like over 6 or 6.5 feet. And the taller person will like assert dominance by lifting their chin, and the other guy will kind of like it's subconscious, but it happens. And then you meet Fractal Josh, and he's like a half inch or maybe a full inch taller than I am. And it's like, God.
And then there's me.
And then there's Rhett.
Just living my life,
just
you know?
cast off.
Just here we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you met Josh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes.
I was the life of the party, as you well know.
What, Josh left Fractal? Yes, Josh left Fractal.
A while ago, didn't he?
August, I want to say. It's been a while. Yeah, Anna is now the PR manager for Fractal Design. Runs their Twitter and whatnot. Anna's great. Anna's one of my favorite people to talk with on Twitter. But yeah, Josh is no longer at Fractal.
Now he's Josh.
Now he's just Josh.
Well, just Josh. Yeah, I like that better.
He's actually in my phone as the Josh formerly known as Fractal. It's what it pops up whenever it rings. So, all right, let's get into some security news, and that is that Bose admits that it was hit by ransomware and that employee data was accessed.
Everybody's hit by ransomware these days.
Yep. Now, here's something you don't hear every day, and so props to Bose for this. They were able to recover without paying the ransom, which means Bose keeps proper backups, everyone. I feel that is worth a round of applause because how often have we heard Delta Airlines has been crypto locked, or the Northeast Pipeline has been crypto locked, or Kaiser Oregon has been crypto locked.
Who was it? I was just reading that
not NHS in the UK was crypto locked. Like, it happens, and then those companies freak the F out because their backups don't work. There's no point to a backup if you can't recover from it. And it really does show who has good internal policies and who does not. So I'm not being facetious or sarcastic when I say this, but bravo Bose for keeping proper backups. However, there's a turn to this one. The incident began on March 7th, and they actually very quickly were able to recover. However, upon bringing in some forensic investigators, some cyber forensics, they have to put cyber on any word, some digital forensics people from a third party, Bose further initiated a comprehensive process to investigate the incident. Given the sophistication of the attack, Bose carefully and methodically worked with its cyber experts, there it is again, to bring its systems back online in a safe manner. However, they did determine that as of, gosh, where was it at? Missing what they actually got a hold of. Anyway, they accessed employee data, personally identifiable information of employee data. It's not the best look. And if I was a Bose employee, I'd be pretty upset. Because number one, at least they had good backups. But number two, it means they were keeping some data plain text or non-encrypted. And at this point, it's almost required to encrypt your own data, even on your own servers, because of attacks like this. Adam says backup validation is a real problem. Even if you're doing them, validating them is hard. It is. It's very hard. I actually, my next, not my next video, but the next video will be about backup validation, because I'm doing something to my file server. I'm making up for a mistake I made with my file server. Spoiler alert. And part of that is I'm going to be fully testing my backup system and making sure that everything gets put back in the right place. So look out for that. But yes, there's a reason internally that you have development networks, entire banks of servers specifically for developing, specifically like we home labbers achieve or strive to achieve, basically being able to tinker with our systems and test different configurations or variables or whatever else. And if something is lost, it's not that big of a deal because it was just for development. What a lot of home labbers end up doing, though, is running production services in their home labs that are all used equipment with no backups. And it's a slippery slope because you have all this hardware. Why not make it work for you? But buying more hardware to keep backups and buying even more hardware to have a development network where you can actually test your backups without affecting your live production gear, that's tricky. So I feel at this point in my rack, at least, I have achieved having a full development network as well as having a full production network, them being able to be separate from each other. I can wipe my dev network with no qualms whatsoever. And I have a full backup of both my development and production networks. it's a very rare position to be in. But like I said, tomorrow actually I will be testing those backups. So yes.
You know, I feel like there's a room for a sweet Hamilton reference here. Raise a glass to backups, something they can never take away, no matter what they tell you. There you go. I did it.
Bravo. Your Tony's in the mail.
Thank you. I did it, everybody. Go watch Hamilton if you haven't done it.
Tell you what, I'll print you a little one.
Really?
Yeah.
Hanging above my desk?
That's right.
Oh. Will you sign it?
Sure.
Thank you.
You want it on the base or like across the face of it?
Whatever makes it more official.
eBay.com. Let's see what my celebrity is worth.
Hey, you know, we got some Tony winners living in our fair city.
Yes, we do. We do.
Broadway Tony Award winners for The Lion King.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Hey, mute it after I'm done. I couldn't pass it up. Normally I wouldn't have asked permission, but I felt like I had to.
Great. Now we're going to get a copyright strike.
Oh, God, you're probably right. I didn't even think about that.
You're fine. I don't care about monetization on this channel. Or on this show, anyway.
Yeah, I was totally...
Oh, no, not talking heads. Ah.
I was off key and pitch enough that I don't think any algorithm could have caught it.
All right. Moving right along, we actually do have a sponsor to get to tonight, and that sponsor is Lenode. Hold on. My hotkeys not working. Ah!
Lenode.
There it is. Ah!
Oh,
shoot.
I'll move.
No, I forgot to resize my... Ah!
Oh. Everybody, it is
rough.
Live. It is live.
Rough. It's what happens when I decide to move my camera gear around, and yeah. We'll just take that one out.
I'll be back in a mere moment.
All right, so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to wait a half second. All right. Today's episode of Talking Heads is brought to you by Lenode. A large chunk of my audience watches for the home lab content, but not everyone has the funds to get started or wants to dedicate an entire room in their house for a full server rack. You also have to deal with the power and cooling requirements, hardware upgrades and replacements, and the noise that comes with hosting your own data center. And that's exactly what we were just talking about. Rather than hosting your own physical cloud yourself, let Lenode host one for you. If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Lenode. That includes the software from most of my tutorials on the channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking recursive DNS server, VPN gateways, host your own Plex server, and more. Lenode makes it simple to deploy and manage your own cloud services, with solutions ranging from a single shared CPU to massive multi-core virtual machines, even dedicated RTX dedicated RTX 6000 GPUs for graphic rendering or machine learning. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Install your favorite server apps and services from scratch, or start with one of the many pre-configured one-click installs from the Lenode app marketplace. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use them to keep a backup of your systems off-site. Visit Lenode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account, and get your home lab or small business started today, or large business, or full enterprise, or keep backups. That's Lenode.com/craftcomputing, and thanks to them again for sponsoring this episode.
Cheers to that.
Take 4. Thanks, John.
We'll get there.
My LCAR's immersion is broken. I know. The thing is, I changed my camera output from 1080 to 4K, and so OBS doesn't handle that very well, and so it blew up the crops that I had for the small screens. Yeah, I just completely forgot to resize that screen. It did the same thing on the webpage screen before the show too, and I went, oh, I need to fix that one, but I didn't think about the sponsor screen.
That's all right. He's just making up for the perfect, flawless copy read he had last week.
That's right.
Where everything went flawlessly without a single hitch.
It did. It was perfect last week. But I will say, last week visually wasn't the greatest show because I had been working so hard on like making the one-man show look so good. And then it's like we have to do an in-person show and it's like, oh crap, I need to redo all of my graphics. I don't know how to do lighting for a two-person show anymore because my lighting has all been one-man based for the last 18 months. And so last week it was just awful. Today I think the lighting is back on point. It looks good.
It looks great. But you want to know what your co-hosts were doing for lighting? I mean, I shined a desk lamp at my face.
I just gave you some studio lights.
That was before.
That's true. It's true.
That was before the lights that you gave me. The studio lights.
Are you at least using the camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you set the camera, obviously I was doing that too. And before that, I was using your webcam. And before that, I was using your right. I think before that, I used my phone. I like streamed.
You used your phone a couple of times.
I think I did the audio off my computer.
You did audio on computer, so you could have the chat and everything up, and then you did the webcam as your phone. And so yours was annoying because I had to set specific things in Zoom to make it lock onto your cell phone camera instead of the blank image whenever your audio was coming through.
Yeah. So, we've made it. But yeah. Now I have lights.
Yeah.
And a sweet camera to look.
That's right.
But now I'm here, so.
Yeah. Now you look even better.
That's true.
Yeah.
Looks great. Fantastic.
Yep. Like I said, the lighting's on point tonight. I'm very happy with how it looks. Let's see. No more one-man band craft computing? Oh, I'm still a one-man band. 6 days of the week at least. Love the Elcar's theme. It's brilliant. Thank you so much. I figured it was rather appropriate given that usually for at least the last 15 minutes of the show, we break down into some Star Trek talk. Jeff, you did do the red rant alert or also the yellow alert and blue alert. Number one, screw blue alert and screw black alert. Those don't exist in my mind. It's red, yellow, and condition green. But I do have a rant alert. But
we got to earn it.
We got to earn it. I was close early in the stream. There was a moment that Rhett was going off just a little bit, and I had there's a hot button right here that I was close. My thumb was on it.
Don't worry, guys. I'm almost done with my second beer.
It's coming. It's coming.
I got a Rainier out in my car. Somebody I think last week was saying that it was like Popeye and spinach for me.
It really is.
If we really need it, I'd go out there.
Exactly.
We'll earn it. Don't worry, guys.
Gosh, what was the? There was a web cartoon of Popeye being this gassy, bloated, like he's like, yeah, olive oil, I'll take you out for a date or something like that. And oh, Popeye and whatnot. And then he opens a can of spinach and she goes, you told me you'd stop. Just a minute. And he like downs it. And all of a sudden he's like, just like doubled up in pain, cramping and farting and everything else. And Bluto walks up and goes, let's get out of here. It's fantastic.
Of course.
Yeah. Andrew with a $5 donation. Thank you so much, Andrew. 14 12 terabyte drives in the house. I am uber jealous. I'm assuming 12 in a RAID Z6 and then 2 for cold spares. I'm assuming you know what you're doing. Blue alert is fine. I guess blue alert kind of okay. But yeah, Dell Enterprise drives. Ooh. Very nice. Rant alert coming about the rant alert? No, not worth it. Not worth it. I will say one story I didn't add to the list that I probably should have was Seagate is coming out with a set of enterprise SAS drives that are 2 7 terabyte platters on 2 separate motors that are about as fast as a SATA SSD. So mechanical hard drive, 14 terabytes, 520 megabytes per second.
Wow.
Like, that's impressive.
Wow.
That's impressive. And I want 16 of them. I don't know that I need to replace my 8s, but the 3s have got to go. That is the plan in the Supermicro chassis. Excellent. 12 in the chassis plus 2 is cold spares. I like it. Is Seagate worth it in the enterprise? I do like Seagate in the enterprise drives. There's a video coming out tomorrow about Seagate, about 3 terabyte drives in general, we'll say, and how I probably shouldn't have bought them. Well, it won't be out tomorrow. I'm filming it tomorrow, and then it'll probably be out like Tuesday. So
I was like, dang, I hope that's not the one you just sent me, because I gotta drive home still after this.
Yeah, you're gonna have that by morning, right?
God, he's always in boss mode.
I know. At least I don't micromanage.
I can just imagine. The couch is right there. Workstation's over there. Don't leave till it's done.
I expect to have it up by breakfast.
Gonna be. But it's true. He does not micromanage. That's why I had to leave my last job, because the micromanaging is just too much.
I hate micromanagers.
It's just too much.
Like I said, I spent the last 9 years of my employment as a manager, and I learned very quickly. Not that I had any bad boss. I haven't really had a lot of bad bosses. I did have a couple micromanagers, and I had one boss at this particular organization that I had to say, do you want it done, or do you want it done your way? And that kind of took him back and kind of changed the conversation. And I said, you're paying me to do this, so please let me do this. And if I fail at your expectations, that's another issue entirely. But you hired me because I have a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Let me exercise those skills. And from that point on, they just kind of backed up and went, cool,
good. He's
got it. And and I learned that also very quickly as a manager myself.
Right.
Is I started I realized I was starting to micromanage because I'm very particular about the order of operations that I do things in, that I expected everyone else would follow the same order of operations,
right.
Be it priorities, be it, whatever else. And I butted heads with the guy for a couple of years about that. And finally I just said, you know what? I just need to give him tasks and trust that it's going to be done regardless of the process of how it's done.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple of years in the early going there, but eventually I went, you know what? This is the same conversation that I had with my manager, which was, you hired me because I can do the job. Please let me just do the job.
You're right.
And if I don't do the job, then we can have a conversation. But just because you want it done, A, B, C, D, doesn't mean that A, D, B, C is wrong.
Right. One of the things, I swear, it's like the first thing any manager should learn, which is always surprising how few understand it. You get what you measure.
Yeah.
So if you're setting certain metrics for an employee, you're going to get those metrics.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I swear, it's like they always put the emphasis on the wrong thing. And what really did it for me with my last job.
That was my last one as well, but go ahead.
Well, and I'll just, mine is so stupid, but they're just like, Rhett, we noticed that you were, because I'm working from home. Rhett, we noticed you were away for this amount of time. And we require that if you're gone away from your workstation, not an active status for longer than 10 minutes, that you let somebody know. I was like, oh, that's what you want? You want me to never be inactive? Yeah. Oh, I can guarantee that. That's easy. I was trying to be honest with you and do my work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Active for the rest of the time I worked there, which wasn't very long.
Yeah. Yeah. I had this conversation as well. We had someone instituted a policy, both above and below my pay grade, I will say, that we need to know when everyone is in the building and where they're at. and I have techs going to multiple client locations and everything else, and them coming in to do work, and they're all also responsible for things within the building. And it's like, it's my job to manage them, and that's the end of it. You submit a ticket, and then I put a tech on that ticket, and when that tech is available, they come and do that ticket. And if I need to bump up the priority, that's also my job as a manager to make sure it gets done in a timely fashion. And if it's not, then we get other people involved. But that's the delegation of responsibility there. Instead, all of my techs had to report in when they were leaving to go to a client site to go do things. And I went, you're adding bureaucracy where there doesn't need to be bureaucracy. No.
Not everything needs to be controlled, accounted for.
I also, as a manager for like 9 years, had the expectation that the job would be done. And I had that expectation with my people, and I had that expectation with my boss, where, you know what, if it's Friday and it's 3 o'clock and I don't have anything left to do, I don't need to be here, because no one's answering phones. No one's doing this. No one's doing that. The work is done. Nothing I need to do here. And so I would leave. And that was totally acceptable, because you know what? Some other days it's 6 p.m. and I can't go home yet because there's still crap to do and it has to be done tomorrow. And that's, again, my job as a manager. Until we had this massive change in leadership, and all of a sudden it became about, well, you're supposed to be here between this hour and this hour. And I said, okay, that's cool. But at this hour, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Whether the job is done or not. So if time is your expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
Then
you get what you measure.
Sorry, it's 4:30. I'm out. And I
told
told every single one of my techs that same thing. I said, at 4:30, you clock out. I don't care if you were in the middle of like screwing in the last bolt. If it is 4:30, you're done. Walk away. You get what you measure.
Yeah. Such a simple lesson that yields a lot of different fruit depending on what you want to measure or not.
Yep.
I just, again, it should be the first thing that they teach every single manager that gets a job. Don't measure stupid stuff, and you won't get stupid stuff.
Yeah. Measure actual output that matters to your bottom line.
Oh.
That's what you measure.
You only have a problem when you have a problem.
That's also true.
All right.
That was close to a.
I could have taken us there. I could have.
You could have.
It didn't feel right.
I think this one's going to be a lot of fun, though.
All
right. This was brought to my attention on Chris Titus Tech's Twitter earlier this week. I guess it was like yesterday. That a user over on Reddit received a DMCA takedown, or a DMCA violation notice from Comcast because of BitTorrented files. Nothing out of the ordinary there, right?
Sure.
Like, I'm sure we've all received one or two of those at some point in time.
No, not me. I'm careful.
Never.
I really haven't. I'm not joking.
Yeah. I received one, and then I wrote a tutorial on how to make a VPN gateway with a kill switch. So. Anyway, so the letter from Xfinity reads as such: Dear blank, we've received a notification by a copyright owner or its authorized agent reporting an alleged infringement of one or more copyrighted works made on or over your Xfinity internet service, with an incident number and a reported date and time. It's all pretty
standard,
pretty part and parcel to what it is. The copyright owner has identified the IP address associated with the Xfinity internet account at the time as the source of the infringing works. The works identified by the copyright, it's all standard stuff. Steps I should take: please make sure that all devices connected to your network mentioned in the complaint details below and delete them. The interesting part comes at the file mentioned below, which is Ubuntu 20.04 desktop amd.iso. Does anyone see a problem with that copyright claim? Because I certainly do. Yeah, Ubuntu 20.04 Pirate Edition. Let's go. Yeah, they received a copyright violation notice for downloading a free and open source ISO of Ubuntu. Now, this caught the attention of Ubuntu themselves. Hey Ubuntu, please look into this and keep us updated. Comcast is claiming Ubuntu ISOs cannot be legally distributed via torrent, which, by the way, is the way that I download my Ubuntu ISOs, as well as I host a seed here for all of them because that's the way I download them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's the way I get all the newest releases, and I want to make sure everyone else has fast access to them too, without costing Canonical or Ubuntu, bandwidth time on their own servers. Yeah. It makes sense. Ubuntu says, thanks for reaching out. Our legal team is aware of this and investigating. We will keep people updated. Moving on to the actual copyright claimant, which apparently was OPSEC Security. OPSEC Security issued the following statement, also on Twitter. OPSEC Security's DCMA, they made a typo in their official statement. DMCA notice sending program was spoofed on Wednesday, May 26th by unknown parties across multiple streaming platforms. The content in question all appears to be Ubuntu Linux ISO. We have incontrovertible evidence that proves these DMCA notices were not perpetuated by or originated with OPSEC Security. OPSEC's enforcement efforts are occasionally spoofed by a third party in an attempt to damage OPSEC's reputation. These attempts are easily identifiable and easily disproven. We are notifying the appropriate authorities about this incident. So, just kind of another example of, number one, how terrible the DMCA system is.
Yep.
How many holes it has in it, how many exceptions, how many exclusions. And they're all slanted towards RIAA, MPAA, and digital content distributors. They're the ones with all the rights. You're the one who...
Yeah.
And here's the smoking gun on a lot of this. And let me go back to the Reddit post because there's someone who nails it pretty well. So the first comment here is, that's actual perjury on their part. They have to sign under penalty of perjury that they have reason to believe they're authorized to bring a complaint on behalf of the copyright owner of the material they're DMCA, which is literally the language that's in there. However, unfortunately it's not. There's a loophole so stupid that nobody thought about it, is that the exact wording is that it is allegedly infringing.
Yeah.
Not it is infringing, it's allegedly infringing.
Yeah.
So I have to submit under penalty of perjury that I believe you are allegedly infringing something.
Yeah.
You see how that could be misconstrued when you use every verb and every noun in their proper context? Yeah, I can send. You can send notices to whoever you like, alleging that they infringe on my post copyright. You can't say I have permission for the rights to Little Mermaid. I'm gonna start sending takedown notices to anyone. You can say I have permission for the rights to drawing a cactus, and I'm gonna start sending notices to anyone that hosts the Little Mermaid because they're infringing on that right. You don't have to claim the original thing. You just have to claim, well, they own something that we're alleging that they have something that we have copyrighted.
It's getting outrageous.
Mm-hmm. Novella Hub points out in the chat, and I want to repeat this: never respond to a DMCA complaint unless you have been subpoenaed or indicted or whatever else. Never respond. Never send an email.
Not just that. It's the same thing.
This is not legal advice, by the way.
Yeah.
But never respond.
Don't talk to cops. That's what they say, right? Like, the cops come knock on your door. Like, you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to open the door.
Right.
Unless they have a warrant.
Yep.
And if they don't, then don't open the door.
Yep.
Their job is to do their job well, not for you to do it for them and make it easy on them.
Yep.
Like, they get paid a lot of money to do this, a lot of overtime to do this. And DCMA enforcement is kind of like being a cop, internet police. And they're making everybody's lives a lot harder. Yeah. And one person I like to follow for a lot of this sort of stuff is Adam Neely on YouTube, and he's a music educator.
Yeah.
But he's been like really deep diving into a lot of copyright infringement on music.
Yeah.
And some of his videos are so absurd because he's following cases or he's getting DCMA strikes for music and they're claiming, oh man, this was a huge web to untangle and I'm not going to do any justice. So y'all might just go follow Adam Neely now if you're interested in this. But essentially, he made a video about how this one song that so-and-so had the rights to was actually this whatever. And he created his own version that was different in such a way that was under fair use. And they copyright struck the wrong song.
Here's the problem with fair use, is it's only fair use after it has been deemed so by a court.
Right.
You don't have fair use just because you say, oh, fair use, or I'm just posting this for visibility or whatever. No. The copyright claimant can still say you're allegedly infringing our copyright, even if it would hold up under fair use.
Yeah.
And the onus is on you under court of law to prove fair use, not for the copyright claimant to say, oh, that's fair use. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's cool. It is.
Yeah.
And you know what? Their lawyers are still better than yours.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
And that's what's crazy is that the whole point of the Adam Neely thing was that they put a copyright strike on the wrong song. And then they still had to fight it in order to, because even though
the DMCA is written to the point where you are guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
And the MPAA and RIAA wrote it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we got the problem is it's big
their
money.
Campaign contribution dollars at work.
Yeah, it's big money really supporting it. You look at it and it's a lot of like Warner Brothers and Disney and
it's billions.
It's
billions.
There's a lot of money. I will say kudos to Taylor Swift.
Oh God, yeah,
dude. Mad respect. I've always kind of liked her back in her country days. The album Fearless was one of my guilty pleasures, and as she went on, whatever. But I don't know anybody that follows this, but essentially, she was having
Sony.
a spat with, she was having a spat with her producers and all this sort of stuff. And they wanted her to sign on for X amount or whatever. And she did that. And anyway, the moral of the story goes that when she stopped, because Sony would not sell her back catalog to her, she stopped granting the rights to her songs for use in movies, like the rights that pertain to the ideas of her songs, right? Because there's two separate types of rights. Adam Neely does a video on this. Go watch it.
Yeah, it's great.
And but she stopped granting partial rights to her songs in movies. And so Sony is just hemorrhaging money on all of this back catalog. But because she owns the rights to the ideas behind the songs, she just went and re-recorded them all.
Yeah.
And re-released her album.
Fearless. Sony would not release her albums to her, and so she stopped signing the movie deals to get the albums put, or the songs from the albums put into movies, which is very lucrative for Sony. And not so lucrative for Swift. So she had
she just said no to
it was
everything.
this back and forth, and she goes, I got a bigger stake in this than you do. Or I have more power over this than you do. And Sony wouldn't budge. So, because she couldn't, because she couldn't use her old albums anymore, she couldn't also release those tracks for use in videos with her new producer or anything else. But she goes, I still own the song itself, not the recorded version that Sony has. So I'm just going to re-record all my old crap.
And the new recordings are so good.
Yeah.
They're so much wiser. Anyway. Yeah, so part of it was that she was like, I want to buy these tracks back. And they're like, no. Then they sold that back catalog to somebody else. And she's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And that's when the tables
just
turned.
to spite her.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, screw you guys.
Yeah.
Watch this.
That's been really cool. Adam Neely did a whole video on that, which I think
Adam Neely is great. Also, Leonard French.
Right.
Lawful Masses. He's one that I watch a lot. He's an actual copyright attorney, practicing copyright attorney. And he does a lot of this copyright stuff, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. It's fun. Well, the fun thing that Adam Neely does is he lends his expert testimony to copyright cases as like a music expert, because the way that they try to copyright things, they're like, well, it uses man, all you got to do is look at the case between Queen and what's David Bowie, I guess, or not Queen. I don't know. Ice, or Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice and Queen.
Mine goes like this, it does the other thing. Mine has this extra note in it, and it was good enough. This is like Adam Neely's like, well, they're trying to copyright a melodic thing that has this scale, and he's like, here's all of these other things in the world that have this melodic scale exactly how they say it.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting breakdown of those.
Yep.
Those types of cases because they're so nonsensical.
There was another one where Lady A, formerly Lady Antebellum, was accused of ripping off the entire chorus and melody line from a song that was written in like the 70s.
Right.
And it's like you can't copyright a chord progression. And because the melody was vastly different, even though the chord progression is the same, can you imagine if there was only one song ever written that was allowed to use 1-4-5-1 or
right, yeah.
Like really, like you can't copyright a chord progression. And as long as the song is vastly different in the idea or execution, by the way, you also can't copyright using the high 2 for your main melody line. For those in music, you know what the 2 is. But like who doesn't use the 2 in pop music? Because it's dissonant, but also resolvable, but also like and it works in every single chord progression that you can possibly write. And so as long as you can stay on that 2, you're good. And then finally resolve it down to a 1.
Yeah. People are really upset that we're talking about legal stuff without having any sort of, legal grounds. So again, we already stated it. It's not legal advice. We're just talking about...
I said this is not legal advice.
We're talking about rumors and gossip in the music world. I mean, for God's sake, like I'm not a Taylor Swift expert by any means. So there you go. There you have it. Well, let's move on and drop that. Jeez.
Remember, we are all breaking
the React Bros copyright.
Yeah, by reacting to things.
I know, dude. You can't do anything. Anyway,
AC/DC uses 3 chords. So do they sue themselves? Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite AC/DC jokes is, AC/DC was in this bar and this dude's, and he's getting drunk and he didn't know they were there, and he said, you know what, AC/DC has 10 albums and they all sound the same, and Angus Young turns around and he goes, hey, that's garbage. We got 11 albums.
Yes. Gosh, who was the I'm trying to remember the name of the group. They're an Australian group that does the 4-chord song.
Yeah, Axis of Awesome.
Axis of Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic YouTube watch. Go watch the 4-chord song. Yeah,
it's pretty fun. They hit all the big bangers of the last 40 years.
Yeah, all of them, and they're all fantastic. The medley is just great.
Yeah. Well, all right. Again, not legal advice. Let's
not legal advice. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're not an expert on Taylor Swift. Unsubscribed. Oh. It's a love story, baby. Just say yes. Like,
bro, Love Story ain't even the best song.
It's not even close.
It's all about You Belong With Me.
Oh, that's a good one.
Also, I'm really into Breathe. Breathe was love that one.
See, I'm a
and I'm Fearless. I can already tell. I don't want to hear about
it. I was gonna go back to
Tim McGraw.
Yeah, Tim McGraw. There's that one, Breathe. There's also, was that Leanne Rimes or Trisha Yearwood? I think it was Leanne Rimes did a version of Breathe.
Oh, I don't know.
Gosh.
Sorry. I don't know. Guess I'm not that big of a...
Yeah.
This is why they're unsubscribing. They're just like, come on. I'm here for the Taylor Swift facts.
Yeah, Breathe, Leanne... Yeah, How Do I Live? Or no, she did How Do I Live. Yeah, I knew that one. Oh, no, it was Faith Hill.
Oh,
Faith
yeah.
Hill. Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Well, there you go. There you have it.
Yep.
Like and subscribe for Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift?
I was going to say Taylor Swift.
Yeah. The artist formerly known as Taylor.
I was trying to say Swift and facts at the same time.
Kind of go the same way as Prince here, again with Sony Music.
Yeah. say what you will about her, but just the courage it takes to just say no and just take back her music and then to just go into the studio and re-record it all.
I know.
I love that so much. Oh, God.
Dunkel wants to know, Jeff, what is a sweet drink you can recommend besides the Mai Tai? Well, it depends on how you make a Mai Tai, honestly. I've talked on the channel a couple of times about what's known as the tourist Mai Tai, which is like, give me some orange and pineapple juice with grenadine and a crap ton of rum. It's not a Mai Tai. And to me, a Mai Tai is not an overly sweet drink. It's actually kind of a punchy drink, especially if you float some 151 on top. Anyway, if you're looking for a sweet drink, a traditional Cosmo is fantastic. Cranberry, lime juice, and a little bit of vodka. You can add like a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup to give it a little sweet. Let's see, what else? What else is a good? Amaretto sour.
Oh, there you go.
Amaretto sour, Boston style. It's 1.5 ounces of amaretto, so Di Serrano or Diamore or any kind of amaretto that you can find. Di Serrano, yeah. 1 ounce of preferably like a 100 proof rye. Then you do 3/4 ounce lemon juice, 3/4 ounce simple syrup, and an egg white. Egg white is important.
It's key.
It's very important. Not the whole egg, the egg white. Pour that all into a shaker. Shake it without ice. Just shake the living crap out of it because you want that egg white to emulsify and froth up. Then after like 20 seconds or so, open your shaker up, add your ice, shake it again, strain into a rocks glass, and enjoy. Throw some Angostura bitters on top once you've poured all the foam out, because it will foam up with like this meringue style head, and it is creamy and sweet and just so freaking delicious, and 80% booze.
Sounds good.
That's my drink of choice if I'm going sweet. It's amaretto sour.
Nice. I dig it.
Okay. For Father's Day this year, Budweiser is trying something different, and that is giving you a free, or not free, but giving Dad a year's worth of beer. A year's worth of beer.
Yeah. For
$5.
Huh.
I'm not joking. So Budweiser is selling what they call the Dad card. I guarantee this will sell out almost instantaneously as soon as it's available. Well, what is the Dad card? The Dad card is a gift card that you can buy for $5 that actually has $430 worth of credit on it to purchase Budweiser, which is good for the average cost of 2 cases of Budweiser per month.
Pretty good.
So
it's a lot of Budweiser.
You can stock 48 cans per month for this $5 card. That ain't bad. I mean, it's Budweiser, but it ain't bad.
That's a great deal. That is a great deal.
It's $5 for.
That's a great deal.
For 24 cases of Budweiser.
Look, I'm passionate about this. Now, I am not a Budweiser fan, but I will defend domestic.
But if I can find one.
If I can get my hands on that, 100%.
And screw John for posting articles with auto-playing videos.
Well, you gotta just have every tab muted. You know?
I should.
I mean, come on. We're professionals over here.
I should.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Budweiser is not the greatest beer of all time, but for $5, you can get 48 cases of beer. 48? 24 cases.
48 cans per month for 12 months.
You can get 24 cases of beer. It doesn't get better than that.
It's not a bad deal.
Guess what? It's going to be hot out
after
June 18th when they go available. Maybe you're going to have some guests over because you're getting vaccinated.
Yep.
Throwing some barbecues.
That's right.
You're going to need some cheap beer to have in your backyard.
Yep.
Put in the ice chest.
Unfortunately, the Budweiser doesn't bring my friends around.
Doesn't matter. You got it there for the people who aren't beer people.
That's true. That's true. I have it here for all my neighbors.
This is called being a good host, Jeff. Now, you got your beer fridge stocked with the good stuff. And somebody said, Jeff, hook me up with the good stuff. You're a good host. You hook them up with the good stuff. But it's say, Jeff, I just want something ice cold poured down my gullet that has a little bit of alcohol in it. What are you going to give them? What are you going to give them? Don't press the button and just not look at me, Jeff.
Look, Rhett, I do not serve that swill in my home.
Hey, you know what?
For you, I will stock Rainier when you are a regular employee.
All right.
I will have it on tap. I will have it on tap.
Woof. Woof. He's going to put the tap right by my workstation.
That's exactly right. I will plumb it all the way to your desk. I will do that. You can hold me to that. You can take that to the bank. All right. But I will not serve Budweiser in my house.
Y'all heard it here. This is a verbal contract binding in the state of Oregon. Look, now he just used it as.
Of course, I'm going to have a way better tap at my desk.
I was going to say he uses this as the loophole to not hire me.
Well, technically, you're a contract employee.
Oh, I love it. But look, this is, everybody gives me crap.
Wait, didn't Uber lose that? Damn it.
They did in Oregon.
They did. Yeah.
And, well, I don't know about California, but in Oregon for sure. Oregon was just like, we don't care what you can go ahead and tell everybody that they're contractors.
Yeah.
But legally they aren't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely buying myself one of these dad cards. Is what it is.
And I don't blame you. I really don't. By the way, we did miss a super chat. $5 again from Andrew. Thank you again, Andrew, so much. Do you think someone could spoof a DMCA against an individual under the guise of a legitimate company? Here's the deal. The only thing that you need to submit a DMCA to anyone is you need to allege copyright infringement has taken place. And you need to allege that it's your copyright that has been infringed, or you're acting as a third party agent to the copyright holder. That's all that needs to happen. What third party agent is, usually it has some business or financial tying to the copyright holder. And you can't just go copyright claiming things that at random that you see like, oh, Sony owns that. I'm going to copyright that on behalf of Sony. I'm now an agent of Sony. No, you're not. But you could say, like the Reddit comment said, again, I am not a lawyer. I draw pictures of cacti.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to file a DMCA against this person who downloaded a copy of Rango. The Johnny Depp animated.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. It's like what, the third or fourth Pirates of the Caribbean film.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna DMCA everyone who's ever downloaded a copy of that because they're infringing on my copyright for having a cactus present in the film. Those are my cactuses. Yeah. Those are artistically copied from me, allegedly. That's all you need.
There you go.
Yep. That's why the system sucks.
Now what we need to do is DMCA.
You're falling into the OPSEC.
Oh, yeah.
Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Dang, I kept doing that even before.
You did.
No wonder they kept asking us to say that we're not lawyers.
Yep.
I'm not a lawyer. I've been saying the wrong acronym.
If you think Brett is a lawyer. Sorry.
I'm not a lawyer.
Not a lawyer.
Not even close.
Nope.
Well, in that case, that negates the joke I was going to make about Budweiser. Can't say I didn't try.
Yep.
Can't say I didn't try.
Okay. We do have a couple more beer notes to get to. Berkshire Mountain Distillers has released 3 new craft beers based on whiskey. And forgive me, but I didn't read this one straight up, but it is, it's Sam Adams Boston Lager American Whiskey.
There you go.
They had 2 others as well. This was part of a 5-year collaboration between Berkshire Mountain Distillers and
Berkshire Brewing. Sam Adams?
Sam Adams, Jack Abbey, and Berkshire Brewing. There we go. So the 5-year collaboration includes in total the distilling of a dozen different beers from a limited collection of Northeast craft brewers. In addition to each edition is blended to 86 proof using Berkshire Mountain spring water and packaged in custom bottles with brewer designs. So they're basically taking these well-known beers. So Sam Adams Boston Lager, my personal favorite lager.
Yeah, I love Boston Lager.
Flawless
beer.
And distilling that down into a whiskey using Berkshire as a distiller.
That sounds great.
Solid idea.
Let's try it.
Honestly, I want a Boston Lager winter ale whiskey.
That'd be great.
That's what I want.
That'd be great.
Like the lager, yeah, I can take that. I could also leave it. I want a Boston Lager winter ale whiskey.
Sure. I walked the Freedom Trail and drank a Boston Lager at every stop.
You told me. Yep.
What else did I tell you, Jeff? That there is a bar across the street from Sam Adams'
grave. So you drank a Sam Adams across the street from Sam Adams' corpse.
I drank a cold Sam Adams across the street from a cold Sam Adams.
Yes. Okay.
But you basically had the story. I just had to throw that in to be pithy.
No, that's... You know what? I either tell the story right or I don't. So, there you go.
Yeah, I could definitely see his tombstone from the bar.
Yeah.
It's literally across the street. Y'all should check it out. Yeah. I highly recommend it. Also, just a great bar.
Yep.
Perfectly chill.
Anyway, this was a 5-year collaboration with a number of different brewers. You can see over here the Big Elm 413. They made it to an American whiskey. Spencer and UFO White. Those have been some of the earlier ones. And Sam Adams, Boston Lager is next on the list. So
cool.
Very cool stuff.
Love it.
This one I figured would tickle your fancies. This particular story. Did you read this story?
I didn't know.
Okay. This one's good. This one's really good.
All right.
So this story goes back to 1994, maybe 95, when the Nintendo 64 was not yet finalized. And they were working on Nintendo. When I say they were working on early release titles, so both launch titles and early cycle releases for first-party games. Now, obviously, that includes their first-party titles. That includes Nintendo or Mario 64. That includes what became Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and a number of other titles. There was one particular developer who they had hired to work on some of the early prototypes of The Legend of Zelda that he ended up having some really good ideas for. So the developer in question goes by the name of Giles Goddard, and he was recently interviewed by who interviewed him? Gosh, I feel terrible. MinMax, yeah. MinMax recently did an interview with him talking about some of the early Nintendo 64 development days. And specifically, they were talking about the early prototypes in 1994 that Nintendo debuted as saying the Nintendo 64 is coming, and here's some of the stuff that it's capable of. And Goddard was on the team that was responsible for creating the very first 64-bit Zelda demo, which was essentially just a tech demo of a very weird-looking Link. Like, think of like Link from Link 2.
Right.
The Adventure of Link.
Right.
Think of that 2D version of Link just made into a 3D, very triangular, creature. No real facial features, just triangles. Kind of somewhere between like the Star Fox for the SNES and what we know as The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Somewhere in between that. He was fighting some kind of like metallic creature which had full mirror effects on him, and they said they were using ambient occlusion, particle effects, and global illumination, or something. Like they were using those. They were showing off those features within that demo. And he goes, I was part of the programming team that built that demo. And he goes, I also worked on some of Ocarina, what became the final release of Ocarina of Time. And he goes, I recently was going through some old directories, and I found a copy of some of the source code that I had backed up when I was working on that project. And he goes, one of the interesting things that I had done was one of the things in source code that I had was the map. So it was an early map, and you had Hyrule Castle in the background. And one of the things that I had developed was you would look through a portal, and you would be able to walk through it and then be in that section of the map. And so he goes, and the orientation of the map that you were looking at would change based on how you were holding it or looking at it. And so he goes, you could look at Hyrule Castle over here and then turn to the left and see this thing over here. And then you can kind of like pull the portal over yourself and be teleported into that world instantaneously.
Yeah.
And MinMax stops him and goes, wait, so you developed portals before Portal was Portal, like 10 years earlier? And he goes, yeah, I had it fully working. And he goes, that's mind-blowing. That's absolutely mind-blowing. And he goes, yeah, no, I had it fully working. I should have turned it into a game and sold it because...
Yeah. Hindsight's 20/20.
Right. But when Portal came out, he goes, I looked at that and went, yeah, I already did that.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what I had designed. Now, I didn't have a gun to shoot it, but I had a portal that you could walk through using Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it just sounds like a good development tool that you would use when you're trying to debug certain aspects, do some QA.
Right. The thing that they were tasked to do by Nintendo was push the limits of the hardware.
Oh, right.
Because one thing Nintendo does exceedingly well is their first-party titles.
Yeah. And
their first-party titles do one thing exceedingly well, and that's take advantage of the hardware that Nintendo has put out there.
Oh, yeah. Look at all the Switch titles.
Look at everything that Nintendo has done first-party. They have some occasional misses. Not many, though. And everyone, when the Wii came out, who didn't make fun of the Wii for being a stupid idea? Who didn't make fun of it? Not before playing it, who didn't make fun of it. But then all of a sudden you got your family at Thanksgiving and you're all playing Wii Bowling.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest video game you have ever played.
Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's what Nintendo does, is they put hardware out there and then they make that hardware the funnest thing you've ever done. Yeah. They do that better than anyone else. And Goddard was tasked with show off the capabilities of this hardware. And so he had developed and had fully working code for having Link walk through a portal from one area of a map to another and have it working seamlessly. He goes, I didn't have a portal gun, crystals that you could look at with like geodesic crystals that you could look at, and then you would like pull them over and you'd be in that new area.
Wow. He
goes, no loading, no nothing, just done.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean...
So the games that might have been.
Right, and that's what's really interesting when you really look at a lot of like dev diaries almost in a way like that, because there is a lot of innovation coming, especially when it comes to, maybe, I don't know if this is necessarily classified as like a dev tool or not, but you look at the way that Valve has pushed gaming, and part of what was really innovative for their model early on, look at Half-Life. Part of what made Half-Life 1 so successful was they put these tools out there and people were able to... They put these tools out there that they used to develop in their own process. And that became the mod kit, the construction kit type stuff.
Yeah.
And people are making Counter-Strike and making these interesting things. And they use those same tools to create all of the Half-Life 1 expansions.
Yep.
And then they created the gravity gun in Half-Life 2 as a dev tool, a way for them to manipulate the game, to push the hardware and the software to its limits.
Half-Life at its core has always been a tech demo with a really damn good game inside of it.
Which is really what Portal is too.
Yeah.
Which is really what Half-Life 2 is as well. Like this is what's really crazy. I mean, look at Half-Life 2 is obviously a great game, and so is Half-Life 1.
Have you played Half-Life Alyx yet?
I have not.
Oh God.
I know. And I have a friend who has a really good VR setup and all the hardware necessary and has Half-Life Alyx. And he's somewhere really close nearby, but I've just not received the invite yet, and it's really It's a real bummer.
He'll never call.
But what's interesting about the Portal thing is that it itself was a tech demo from a couple of college students.
Yeah.
And they were showcasing this game that I think they called it something Narbacular Drop or something like that. Narbacular Drop.
Yeah.
And it was a game you were like a wizard with a wand and you create portals. And Valve was over and like, you're going to come make a game for us.
Yeah.
And they did. And they went on to lead a team at Valve and create Portal, which itself, like, I think there's so many more interesting things you could do with the Portal gun in essence. But if you're going to make a game out of it, it's got to be this tech demo that's just a series of more complicated puzzles.
Yeah.
And they made a great experience. Everybody raves about Portal 1 and Portal 2.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I couldn't get through them because I get a little motion sick. But I enjoyed the first, 10 levels of each game.
I love Portal. One of my favorite all-time games.
Magical experience.
Yeah.
Magical experience. And that's one game like where you earn it, like you continue to build upon everything that you know from top to bottom until you're doing the most insane stunts all the way through.
Yeah.
So no, this is interesting. I'd like to hear more about the little pieces of dev history that were lost to time this was.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, that's crazy to think how far ahead of its time it was.
Yeah.
And never implemented anything until way later.
I love watching Modern Vintage Gamer do a lot of his breakdowns because he goes through some of the development steps for some early consoles and even modern consoles. But there's one I remember in particular about the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge. Did you ever have a Sega Genesis?
Yeah, and I had the Sonic.
You had Sonic and Knuckles?
And that was the one where you could plug in the other cartridge into it to play other characters and stuff.
Yes. So for those who don't know, gosh, this is old. Sonic and Knuckles was a game for the Sega Genesis. It
was like Sonic 5.
4. Okay. It was the fourth one. So the Sega Genesis had Sonic the Hedgehog as a release title. Then it had Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. The games were just cartridge games. You plugged them into the Sega Genesis and powered it on and played the game. Then Sega came out with a game called Sonic and Knuckles, and the cartridge was a little bit different in that it looked kind of like a Game Shark or a Game Genie, where it had a cartridge slot on top of the cartridge that you could slot another cartridge into for cartridgeception and play Knuckles in some other games. Now, the three notable ones are Sonic 1, 2, and 3. You could plug those cartridges in and play as Knuckles in the original Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Yeah.
I mean, think about DLC as we know it today. This was, if you own the original game, you get 3 extra games by buying this cartridge.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. And I loved that setup and that feature, and it made some of the original games very, very interesting on a second playthrough.
Yeah.
But Modern Vintage Gamer does this deep dive into the hexadecimal memory addressing of how did it know which game was firing up, how did it actually inject the code that it needed to, plus read the data assets off the old one. And Sonic 1 in particular, it was using only it had half the memory of Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, and Sonic and Knuckles, the cartridge, needed to access the memory and actually have more RAM available because of the moves that Knuckles could pull off and the animations that he had. And so how did they take the old game and implement new memory addressing for it? And all this weird esoteric stuff just for these particular games that use just straight memory addressing to make all this work.
Yeah.
Really interesting watch. I love a lot of his content. If you haven't checked him out, go check out MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer.
Great plug.
Good stuff.
Oh, Skull has a great idea. They should have added Knuckles into something super strange like NBA Jam. They should have allowed you to plug in a ton of different cartridges.
You could plug in a ton of different cartridges, and most of them were not usable. There were a couple of other cartridges that would give you some odd results.
Yeah.
But actually, what were the... Let's see.
Oh boy.
Sonic and Knuckles. Let's see if we have.
It's going to the Wikipedia, folks.
Yep.
Use Control F. What are you doing?
I scrolled through really quick because I wanted to see if there was a game list.
Yeah, there wasn't. But yeah, you know, it's that kind of interesting. No. It makes you wonder the things. It would have been interesting to see them. You know, that would have obviously taken a lot more, I think, resources than you could include in one cartridge. But just imagine all like these little Easter eggs or something that you could do with lots of different Sega games. And, you know, you got like, God, I'm struggling to even think of some of my Sega games. But it would have been fun.
Urban Strike, cool. Clay Fighter, Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam. Like, let's put... Yeah, and again, you run out of memory very quickly on these old cartridges.
Yeah.
You're talking 1 megabyte and half a megabyte total ROM space on these cartridges. So, yeah. All right. People are starting to sign off. It's 1 a.m. on the East Coast. It's 10 p.m. here. And that's usually time for us to sign off as well. Any closing thoughts? Anything to plug?
Nothing too big to plug, but if y'all want to come check me out over on Twitter at Red is Awesome, or follow my game dev podcast at gamedevsquest.com, or my D&D podcast at chaoticamateurs.com, or hey, for those of you memory impaired, taintfloss.com.
Taintfloss.com.
Just for you guys. Go check it all out. We got weekly episodes over there. Game Dev taking a little bit of a hiatus, but we'll be back someday, and there's a big back catalog there for some of you completionists to go check out. And otherwise, coming back. We're hopefully do some more live shows as we keep going. So
excellent. I don't think I have anything to plug. I've got a video coming out either Friday or Saturday, depending on when he gets his act in order. Hey, the content's there.
The boss just can't even let me have a live show.
I can't
even let me have a live show.
I can't. Anyway, it'll be up whenever he gets off his butt and decides to do something for once.
Get what you measure.
Fair enough.
Just teasing.
If you like this show, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing. Follow Red at Red is Awesome or at Game Devs Quest. Make sure to like this video. I already said that. What else?
$1 a month at patreon.com.
$1 a month to Patreon or Floatplane. You'll get exclusive access to the Discord server. You can chat directly with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all of the hosts from Talking Heads, and take part in the ever-growing community over there. And it really is an awesome place to hang out. I think that's about it. Join us every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Time right here on YouTube for the latest in beer and tech news. This has been episode 185 of Talking Heads, and as always, see you next week.